These are the Chapter 7 Biodiversity notes. You want to make sure that you copy down the red today. All of the red sentences are the important ones. So biodiversity, you need to make sure that you know what it is, how it's lost, and how we're trying to save it. So biodiversity is the variety of things in a biome or an ecosystem or an area. When I say things, it's going to be the variety of plants and the animals. So it's not just animals, even though a lot of times we focus on that. There are 3 different types of biodiversity, and make sure that you guys write these down. There's genetic diversity, this is the diversity among the DNA. There's species diversity. And this is just the different variety of species in an area of what we can actually see. And then ecosystem diversity. And this is the variety of habitats, ecosystems, and communities among the biome and continent and world. So kind of looking at it as a whole. Alright, I'm going to change slides. If you need to pause it, please do so now. There's really a lot of species, and most of them are bugs. But again, you have to remember they're not evenly distributed amongst the world, because if you remember from the biome section, they are concentrated in certain biomes and completely empty in other biomes. The rainforest has the most biodiversity out of all of the biomes. Other benefits to biodiversity, these are human benefits, such as agriculturally. We can genetically cross different species and get better food crops. We use it for medicine, medicinal purposes, whether it's plants or animals. And then tourism, which helps our economy. There's different types of biodiversity lost. 2 of the natural kinds are extinction and extirpation. With extinction, it happens globally, so that species is gone globally, whether it's because of background or mass extinction. And extirpation is the loss of the species in a given area. So, for example, just losing a type of bug on the North America continent and not the European continent. There's different types of biodiversity risks, and we actually label them. There's the endangered species and the threatened species. Endangered species are at a serious risk of extinction, meaning they cannot come back themselves unless we help them. Threatened species is very close to endangered, but they could come back if we left them alone. Either way, they need our help. There's causes of biodiversity loss, and this just summarizes the book, so I'm just going to have you write down these 4 bullet points. Habitat change or loss, this is usually due to humans in ruining the habitat or using the habitat for ourselves. Invasive species, which is usually caused by humans, because we bring a species into an area that will harm the ecosystem. Now, if we bring a species into an area and it doesn't harm the ecosystem, it's not technically considered invasive. But like the Asian carp, for example, and the zebra mussels, those are considered invasive species. Pollution, and then overharvesting, which is not following EPA laws in fishing and hunting, and that can kill off a species. Habitat fragmentation also causes part of the habitat change and loss, which is usually due to us building cities and roads through certain ecosystems. Like I said before, the invasive species, pollution, overharvesting, and climate change are all contributed to the loss of the biodiversity. So how do we fix this? Well, one way they did that was in 1970 under the President Nixon. After Global Earth Day, government agencies and Congress got together and made this branch of Congress called Environmental Protection Agency, and it's to protect human health and environment. The EPA has given us the Clean Air Act, the Clean Water Act, and pollution control laws. This not only helps our health through the air and water, but also the ecosystem's health and what we put back into the air and the water. EPA also gave us the Endangered Species Act, which was founded in 1973. It really prevents us from harming another species on the endangered species list by building a dam that would ruin its environment, or building a city that would ruin its environment. And also, you can't hunt it, trade it, or kill it in any way because it's on a recovery plan. So we're trying to help bring it back. So in bringing back some of these species, there's captive breeding programs like we did with the bald eagle, where we captured it, bred a lot of the younger bald eagles, and then re-released them into the wild. And then zoos and aquariums have species survival plans. These species survival plans were first came about in 1981. They're for zoos and aquariums to implement in animals that they currently have to try and bring them back through breeding. So certain zoos will breed with other zoos to try and bring their numbers back. There's also biodiversity hotspots, like a rainforest, where if we protect the rainforest, that will protect the greatest amount of biodiversity. Alright, make sure that you have these notes in your folder by September 3rd so that you're able to complete the game.